I'm SHoyt. Welcome to my presentation about disk management. The subject of disk management encompasses many aspects of managing system disks. There are many tools available for managing disks, and I will be sharing some with you today. Disk management is a utility that manages the system disks and the volumes or partitions contained, as its name suggests. Most computers have different types of drives, which include internal disk drives and removable media drives. Typically, the internal hard disk is the primary storage device. Most times, the first hard disk installed is designated as disk 0. If other disks are installed thereafter, their designations would be disk 1, disk 2, etc., etc. With Windows 7, you are able to elect to have either a basic disk or a dynamic disk. A basic disk is most often the type of disk that is used and can be divided into partitions, up to 4. 3 primary partitions and 1 extended partition, which then can be divided into more logical drives. Dynamic disks enable the user to perform disk maintenance without having to reboot the system, which is very useful in many situations where shutting down would curtail productivity. Dynamic disk can also be divided into volumes, not partitions. There are different kinds of volumes to choose from, and the choice is dependent upon the use of the hard drive. To successfully work with basic and dynamic disk, it is good to understand the 5 types of drive sections available: active, boot, crash dump, page file, and system. The active partition or volume is the drive section from which an x86-based computer starts. If there are multiple operating systems available on the hard drive, the active drive section must contain the startup files for the operating system you want to start, and it must be a primary partition on a basic disk or a simple volume on a dynamic disk. One thing to remember is that although a removable disk may say that it is active, it should not be confused with the active partition with which the operating system boots from. The boot partition or volume contains the operating system and its support files. On most systems, system and boot are the same partition or volume. Although it seems that the boot and system partitions are named backwards, this convention has been used since Windows NT was introduced, and it has not been changed. The crash dump partition or volume is the one in which the computer attempts to write files to in the event of a system crash. Dump files can be used to diagnose the causes of system failures. A page file partition or volume contains a page file used by the operating system, sort of like a reservoir, when the amount of processes exceeds the allotted RAM. A computer can have multiple page file partitions or volumes, but typically only reports the primary volume being used as a paging file. The system partition or volume contains the hardware-specific or bootstrap files needed to load the operating system. The system partition is labeled as such in the status field in Disk Management's volume list and graphical views. Every computer has 1 active, 1 system, 1 boot, and 1 crash dump partition or volume, and these partitions or volumes can be combined. The page file designation is the only drive designation that you might see on multiple partitions or volumes. The computer console. It can be used to quickly ascertain the available storage devices on a computer. The details listed in the computer console include the hard disk drives and removable media storage devices, that are available to the user. Also listed in the computer console is network location, which lists any mapped network drives. The Disk Management Console is a Microsoft Management Console snap-in, easily accessed through a pre-configured console included with Windows 7 or added to any custom console created. The Disk Management Console is a tool used to configure the available drives on a computer. With Disk Management Console, users can manage disks, partitions, volumes, logical drives, and their related file systems. Using disk management gives the user the ability to determine the capacity, free space, status, and other properties of all disks, create partitions and logical drives on basic disks, create volumes on dynamic disks, extend volumes to increase their size, format volumes and specify file systems to use, such as FAT, FAT32, or NTFS, assign drive letters and paths to volumes, convert basic disks to dynamic disks and vice versa, change a disk's partition table style, and mark a partition as active. Command line utilities can be used when something is needed to be done quickly, efficiently, and without any software overhead. Using command line utilities to manage disks will save time and energy. Unlike disk management, which provides a friendly interface and is fairly easy to use, command line utilities are complex tools and should be utilized carefully. DiskPart is a text mode command interpreter that can be used to manage disks, partitions, and volumes from the command prompt. DiskPart can perform many of the same operations as disk management, and it can also be used with scripts to automate disk management processes. You must be at an elevated command prompt to use DiskPart. FSUtil is meant to be used for support professionals who need to manage disks at a fairly low level. FSUtil is used to examine and work with metadata and other information related to disks, including update sequence number change journals, reparse points, and hard links. Detailed sector and cluster information can be obtained, such as the number of free or reserved sectors on a disk. FSUtil is also utilized at an elevated command prompt. Windows 7 has some features that can be used to help increase disk performance. Disk performance is important for all users at all levels. When or if it becomes necessary to utilize these features, an administrator can be confident that the tools are available. Some are ReadyBoost, ReadyDrive, and SuperFetch. Windows 7 ReadyBoost is a way to reduce the impact related to reading and writing to the system cache. If it is noticed that the computer is writing to the page file on a frequent basis, then using Windows ReadyBoost could help increase performance. Flash devices are used for caching, which allows Windows 7 to make random reads faster because it's caching data onto the flash drive instead of the hard drive. The types of flash devices that can be used with ReadyBoost are USB flash drives, SD cards, and compact flash cards, but these must have sufficiently fast memory and be at least 256 megabytes or larger in size. Windows ReadyDrive improves performance on mobile computers equipped with hybrid drives. A hybrid drive is a drive that uses both flash RAM and a physical drive for storage. Flash RAM is quite faster than a physical spinning disk, so data is written to flash RAM and then synced to the hard drive periodically. This reduces the spinning of the disk and saves battery life. ReadyDrive is also used for faster startup and faster resume from hibernation by writing the necessary information to the flash RAM prior to shutting down, entering sleep, or going into hibernation. ReadyDrive is enabled by default, so there isn't even a need to enable it. Windows 7 SuperFetch improves performance and responsiveness by changing the way user processes and background processes are used. SuperFetch allows Windows to manage the amount of random access memory in the machine it runs on more efficiently by giving user processes a higher I/O priority over background processes. This helps in preventing conflicts in read-write processes. Windows SuperFetch uses a modified memory management algorithm, which is based on the way the user is using the computer to optimize memory usage by performing these tasks. It differentiates between user applications and background services. It optimizes memory for users after running background tasks. It tracks the most frequently used applications and anticipates user needs. It takes advantage of the low priority I/O designation. Using disk compression allows for the reduction of disk space that files require. All files and directories stored on a drive that has compression enabled are automatically compressed when they're created. Compression is transparent to users, so compressed data can be accessed just like regular data. Compression is certainly a useful feature, but you can't encrypt compressed data. Compression and encryption are mutually exclusive. NTFS has many advantages over other file systems that can be used. The capability to automatically encrypt and decrypt data using the encrypting file system is one. BitLocker is another. Adding an extra layer of protection with encryption acts like a security blanket. EFS is supported on a per folder or per file basis. Any file placed in a folder marked for encryption format can be read only by the person who encrypted the folder. BitLocker Drive Encryption is a data protection feature. BitLocker is used to protect mobile computers from unauthorized access in the chance they are stolen or lost. BitLocker uses a trusted platform module to verify the integrity of early boot components to make sure the encrypted drive components have not been tampered with. With the many tools available to manage disks, as in their drives, their performance, or their security, Windows 7 provides the necessary tools to get the jobs accomplished. Disk management has been around for many versions of Windows and is ever evolving. DiskPart and FSUtil used at the command line will provide fast and efficient disk management. ReadyBoost, ReadyDrive, and SuperFetch are available to maintain an efficient and highly performing system. Disk compression has its place in disk management by managing the size of the disk data when or if the need arises. EFS and BitLocker manage the security of a disk and its data. Used together, the Windows 7 tools can keep its systems running efficiently and effectively. Thank you very much.